Hey guys, good morning. In this video, we're just going to share everything with you. We're going to put everything on the table so you can see it all because we have a lot of newbies. Okay. Good morning to you. Thank you for joining us. And let's get started. Okay. So this whole video is my opinion and should not be used for financial advice. Okay. All right, guys. Here's what we have. Going back to 2014. There was an article coming out. It was by the Central Bank of Iraq, and what they said was, they said that they were going to, in 2014, actually October of 2014, they said they were going to delay the deletion of the zeros. That means the rate change for a period of 5 years into 2019. Okay. The two reasons they gave: one was security, meaning the war. The war ended in December of 17. That's done and over with. We don't care about that. The second one was they told us that Iraq had one of the most corrupt countries and governments in the world, basically, in that the politicians were stealing money. Okay. And because the politicians were stealing money, they didn't want to delete the zeros till they got rid of that corruption that was stealing the money. In fact, most of their politicians today are some of the wealthiest people in the world. For example, the former Prime Minister Maliki today is worth about 55 billion US dollars. Okay. So they said that they wanted to get that resolved, and the reason why they shot out so like for 5 years into 19 was because they needed to get through the elections. Okay, they needed to get the elections done, and what they're telling you in that statement is that they actually want to see a completed, seated, formed government. Okay, and they're also telling you that the formation of the government, guys, is the linchpin in this. That's really what they're telling you. So now let's fast forward to 19. Let's see what we have for 19. So now we know we're in 19. Let's look at what they've said, and then let's look at what they've done. Let's see if we have any factual confirming information. At the beginning of 19, regarding the 2019 budget, they came out telling us that there was monies in the 19 budget for both Article 140 and the HCL. Guys, these are facts. This is not my opinion. The fact that they told us there were monies for 140 and the HCL in the 19 budget, guys, those are post-rate change monies. They have right there suggested to you that they have intentions of changing the rate during the year of 2019. Okay. Now that they've suggested it to us, let's look at what they've done. Let's see if their actions support a rate change in 19. What did they do in 19? Okay. January through June, they were putting in lots of things in place. Remember, at the beginning, around, I think it was around February, the government of Iraq was taking control of all the ports and border for tariffs. Okay. And they were getting everything positioned for federal taxes and everything. Okay, for tariffs and to generate extra revenue on a federal level. Okay, then a little bit farther forward, they started putting in, again, this was January through June, they were putting in trade agreements, reconstruction agreements. Guys, trade and reconstruction, all of that is post rate change. So what they've done January through June is they actually set the post rate change stage for the country of Iraq, and that's January through June. Now let's look at July and August. What did they do? Well, Kurdistan was meeting with Baghdad to get everything ironed out, resolving Article 140 and the HCL. That's purchase power for the citizens. Again, so right there, they're setting the post-rate change stage for the citizens. And now notice how this morning I just gave you the actual results. The Kurdistan's were able to achieve 17% of that budget. Now, there's another thing I stressed to you over the last many months, and I mean, I was burning this in your brains. I kept telling you that any negotiations or stage setting regarding Article 140 and the HCL could only happen at the very end. Okay, and notice how they just shared the agreements with you very close to the very beginning of September. Just keep that in your mind. Okay, now, so August, July through August, they were setting the post-rate change for the citizens. Now, during January through August, I just told you factually, and again, these are facts, not my opinion, they did not do anything with the formation of the government. They pushed it aside and set it on the shelf. Okay, why? Because they had to set the post-rate change stage for the country and for the citizens. Now, back in July, they told us they were going to resume the formation of the government in September and try to finish the formation of the government in September. Let's focus on that for a second. And remember, I just told you from the 2014 article, they told you that the formation of the government and completion of the government is the linchpin in this, because that's the number one thing the CBI is seeking, to delete the zeros. Now, let's go into great detail on the formation of the government. Notice how during this year they did absolutely nothing with the formation of the government, okay? But back on February 27th, they held a national meeting where all government officials were included, and they even came out from that meeting and announced they were unified. You're not unified unless you have a complete formed government. And then roughly 3 weeks later, 2-3 weeks later, they came out announcing they were forming committees to tackle corruption, okay? The government, and notice how they never had these committees, or couldn't even work on these committees prior to the national meeting, okay? Guys, what I'm trying to show you is that, again, now this part's my opinion, is that I believe the government has been done and formed quietly, easily since that meeting. I think that's actually when I think around that February 27th national meeting, I believe that's when they actually, somewhere around there was that when they actually finished the formation of the government. And that's why, because they have the government secretly finished, just waiting to be announced. That's why they have been able to take the formation of the government and literally just set it aside, okay, and work on setting the stage January through August, and then just out of nowhere, they can just magically resume the formation of the government in September. I believe, guys, this is all scripted, and I believe the government formation is complete. They're just waiting to announce it. They have to delay the announcement of it, because as the CBI told you in 14, it's the linchpin to the rate change, and that's why they have it set and slated and scheduled for September. Okay, now let's put September under a microscope. What have they done with September? What's happening in September? Why does September look so red hot? Well, 2 to 3 weeks ago, they announced that Iraq came into a ton of money for reconstruction, which is post rate change. For half of that reconstruction money, they said that it was specifically for the year of 2019 for reconstruction throughout Baghdad. Okay, again, reconstruction in the year of 2019, guys. There's only one accounting period left. That money, I promise you, is for an accounting period. There's one accounting period left, 10/1 Q4. Okay, so they've basically told us that money for reconstruction throughout Baghdad is going to be for Q4 10/1. Okay, and then notice how they received the other half of the reconstruction money, and that was from Kurdistan. I'm sorry, not Kurdistan, Kuwait. That was the Kuwait reconstruction conference held back in February of 18, over a year and a half ago. And Kuwait just released that a year and a half later, in just 2-3 weeks ago, for Iraq for reconstruction at the same time. Okay, guys, that's telling you that money is for 10/1 Q4. And that's when they're going to do the reconstruction. So what they're telling you is that they're setting the stage in Q3, okay, for reconstruction in Q4. But what they're also telling you right there, guys, is reconstruction is post rate change. So what they're telling you is they have to change the rate in September to walk into Q4 with a new rate in hand to be able to do that reconstruction. Okay, guys, you have to look back in history. History repeats itself. How did Kuwait do theirs? Well, Kuwait did theirs on March 24th of 91. Okay, March 24th. That's the last month of the first quarter, and then it's the weekend between the third and fourth week of the month, of the last month of the first quarter. So what they've done was they set the stage close to the end of Q1 to walk into Q2 with a brand new rate in hand. So again, they position that rate change near the end of Q1 to walk into Q2 with a new rate in hand. Guys, it's very simple. It's all based on accounting periods, because it's a large movement of money, so it's about accounting periods. That's what you have to look at. Okay, now, in my opinion, Iraq is not going to finish the government until probably around September 21st, 22nd weekend right there. I don't think they're going to finish the government until around that weekend. Okay, they might slowly have it done, and then finish it 100% right around 9/21, 9/22. Okay, but guys, that's exactly what you're going to see Iraq do. Iraq's going to finish the formation of the government most likely during that second half of September, so that they can, closer to the end of Q3, so they can walk into Q4 with that new rate in hand. Okay, I mean, Iraq just came out telling us that they've satisfied all their obligations now. The UN did yesterday, that Iraq has satisfied all their obligations towards Kuwait. They did the last two things they absolutely could to get out of Chapter 7, separate from the money that they owe. The money's going to be paid out over many years to Kuwait through oil proceeds, so we don't care about that. That's going to take many years to resolve. So the last two things they could do was turn over the archives and property, which they did in an article from 2 days ago I showed you, and then roughly 3 weeks ago you saw all the article on the human remains, the bodies. Those were submitted back to or returned back to Kuwait for DNA testing. Okay, those were the last two things they needed to do regarding Chapter 7. Those two items have been outstanding for 15 years, and notice how they just did it in the middle of Q3, guys. Okay, that's to become international for the UN. Okay, so guys, we're looking really good right now. This is the best we've ever looked. I strongly feel, and also look at. So about 3 weeks ago, I also told you that that we wanted to see the news get quiet. Okay, between the period of when Kurdistan was going to meet with Baghdad regarding seeking 17% of the federal budget. We wanted to see the news get quiet. It did. 2 weeks ago. The news has been very quiet. The only really thing we've seen in the news is we haven't seen any brand new tasks started within the country. They're just resuming what they've already had lurking out there. They've just resumed on that to finalize it. And the only new stuff that we saw was the for the last 2 weeks they've talked about the deletion of the zeros and adding coins and the significance of coins and how coins can only be released at an increased rate. Okay, they can't release coins at today's value. That's why they used to have coins when the new Iraq dinar came out in approximately 04. They released coins, but because the value was 4,000 per dollar, they pulled them out of circulation because the value was too low. Okay, so what they're doing is they're telling you the significance of coins and the deletion of zeros, guys. But what I want to stress to you in that is sharing that type of education with the citizens can only do that roughly within about 30 days of the rate change. Because if they were to do it months out or years out, the citizens are going to forget that. It's not going to be fresh in their minds. They need to keep that information regarding these education matters fresh in their minds in close proximity to the rate change. They didn't start that just until 2 Mondays ago, and they've been doing it, doing a little bit every so often over the last 2 weeks. So guys, my point is they've been very quiet. So where we're at as of right now, what we're looking for confirmation to know where we stand is we want to start seeing the news transition from this point going forward into the formation of the government without a lot of new extra tasks being started or launched in Iraq. Okay, if that's how if they start now talking about the formation of the government and resuming into that, what they are telling you is they have the stage 100% done and they are ready to proceed forward with that rate change. That's exactly what you're looking for, and you'll know exactly where you stand, guys. This news is very predictable. Okay, there isn't any rocket science in this right now. I see it as clear as day. We're looking really good. You guys have a wonderful, amazing weekend, and God bless. Take care.